Arad was paired with landscape architect Peter Walker, and when they were awarded the winning entry, the two set to work on the mammoth task of coordinating their vision with the other projects at the World Trade Center, which Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who serves as the chairman of our board, has called the most complex and concentrated construction project ever undertaken. Through the design and construction process, several changes were made to Michael's original submission. Some were the results of prolonged public debates. Others were simply to ensure the project was viable enough to actually be realized. One of the changes that was a mixture of both was the decision to move the names of those killed to the top of the waterfalls. Here you see an image from Michael's original proposal, which situated the names below plaza level in front of a veil of falling water. Once that decision had been made, focus turned to the way the names would be inscribed, the order, the aesthetics, the location. And these were understandably some of the most sensitive and emotional decisions of the design process. Here you see the names as part of the finished memorial. There are 2,983 of them, and they are now directly at your fingertips as you stand in front of the largest man-made waterfalls in North America. When members of the competition jury visited the memorial just a few months before it opened, many of them remarked what a fitting change it was to have the names lining the perimeter of the footprints at the top of the falls. In the statement that they had put out on selecting the memorial, they had written, "In its powerful yet simple articulation of the footprints of the Twin Towers, reflecting absence has made the voids left by destruction the primary symbols of our loss." It seemed appropriate then that the visitors' personal connections to the individuals would happen at the same time they confronted the enormity of the voids. Once the decision had been made to list the names around the top of the waterfalls, Michael and his team explored dozens of options for how they would be displayed. Here you see just a couple of them that we evaluated at a mock-up that we created out at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. On the left, the letters came up through the surface of a reflecting pool. And on the right, water actually trickled over the panels, which some who viewed the mock-up noted gave a sense of tears falling over the names in perpetuity. In the end, the names were inscribed through bronze, each letter an absence, in a way that allows light to shine up through them at night. One of the things we heard over and over during the process to finalize the design was that people wanted a chance to create impressions or rubbings of the names, a tradition at the Vietnam Memorial and others around the world. This method of inscribing the names allows that, and it's one of the most heartwarming things you see now when families and friends take out charcoal or crayons so that they can bring their piece of the memorial home with them. The incised names also allow for what the memorial designer calls happy accidents, things he hadn't anticipated when creating the blueprints. Many who visit the memorial leave tributes that then become part of our museum collection. When families came on the anniversary for the first time, they placed flowers, flags, and personal items within the names themselves, and that has continued every day since. The final decision to be made on the names was perhaps the most fraught with emotion, and that was determining the way they would be positioned with respect to one another. The arrangement of names on this memorial makes it unique from any other memorial in existence. They are not alphabetical or arranged by any other usual method of organization. Instead, they are arranged by layers of what the architect calls meaningful adjacencies. All of the names have a place that reflects something about the lives of the people they represent, where they were that day, who they worked with, who they knew and loved, or who they were with during their final moments. One of the most profoundly moving parts of writing the book was being able to share some of the stories that are behind the names arrangement. In order to make it possible, we reached out to the next of kin of every victim, worked with the companies who had lost employees, talked to first responder agencies, and got information about their units. It took 2 years to finish that outreach to the nearly 3,000 families, to solicit their feedback and suggestions, and to compile it all to create the arrangement that's inscribed in bronze today. The stories behind the placement of the names are something that make this memorial so unique and moving to all who visit, whether you know someone who perished or not. And to give you a sense of the arrangement, I thought I would share a short excerpt from the book. This is from chapter 7. In the aftermath of 9/11, people across the country and around the world began reading the names of the victims aloud at vigils, an hours-long, solemn and respectful intonation with many meanings: a prayer, a thank you for the lives shared, a tribute to their heroic acts, a struggle to comprehend how this list could ever have come to be. Inscribed into the memorial parapets, the 5 rows of names stretch for more than 1,500 feet, almost a third of a mile, an expanse perhaps best described by former Mayor Giuliani, who on 9/11 called the sheer number of losses more than any of us can bear. One company, the international brokerage firm Cantor Fitzgerald, experienced a loss so severe that its employees make up nearly 1/4 of the names on the entire memorial. The firm operated out of the 101st to 105th floors of the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Flight 11 hit the building at the 93rd floor at 8:46 a.m. on the morning of 9/11. Everyone who was in the Cantor offices by that time was killed. 658 employees out of the roughly 1,000 who worked in New York, along with 46 contractors, food service workers, and visitors. Of the husbands who were killed, 38 of them left behind pregnant wives. There were wedding plans in the making for 46 others. When the Cantor lives were taken, 955 sons and daughters lost a father or a mother. On a list of families that sustained multiple losses on 9/11, by far the affiliation most often repeated is Cantor, owing partly to the family-oriented nature of the firm's culture. And to break from